Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the season finale of the Hardwood. Joining me today is TJ, and we are looking at the NBA Finals. The NBA Finals, not only the final game, but we'll be doing a retrospect on the entire series. So please hold on to your hats for this one because it should be fun. So I want to start out with obviously game 5. What went wrong? What went right? Obviously, the for the Warriors, what went right was their win. What went wrong for Cleveland? Easily their loss. But what I really want to focus on here is the fact that Cleveland seemed to finally get a little bit of production out of some more players. Tristan Thompson had 15 points, and Kyle Korver had 17. Deron Williams had 12. Yet, well, no, that was Deron Williams' minutes was 3. Korver only had 3 points, but yeah, Tristan Thompson had 15. But at the same time, with Thompson stepping up, Kevin Love stepped back. He played 29 minutes, which is low for him. He only had 6 points. He was 2 for 8 field goals. He was 0 for 3 from the 3-point line. 2 for 5 free throws. 10 rebounds. He just didn't show up. And if Tristan Thompson would have stepped up like this and Love would have gotten his usual 16 to 20 points, we could be looking at a game 6 rather than the Golden State Warriors winning the championship. What do you think, TJ?
I do agree with that. When you look at the numbers, Tristan Thompson, this is the game where Tristan Thompson actually showed up, having 15, 8 rebounds, 3 assists, still block. Tristan Thompson came to play in Game 5, and he was ready to play in Game 5. I think Cleveland did an amazing job when it came to playing Golden State head-to-head. However, when you are a star piece and you're starting with LeBron, with the Kyrie, LeBron giving you 41, Kyrie giving you 26, even J.R. Smith gave you 25. Kevin Love, there's no exception. You cannot give 6 in a game 5. That's how you lose. And that's clearly what happened. If he even scored 15 points, the Cavaliers win.
Yeah,
We're looking at game 6.
and here's something I noticed. It seemed like I hadn't looked at the stats before we started the podcast, but from the way the game looked, I was looking at it looked like Cleveland's bench did so much more than it actually did. But it turned out Richard Jefferson and Kyle Korver were the only 2 bench players that scored with 4 and 3 points. Yet, and I think the reason it looked like that was because they had a combined almost 50 minutes between Jefferson, Korver, Williams, and Shumpert. But at the same time, something I didn't really notice at the time was that Channing Frye was, for the second straight game, did not play coach's decision. Dante Jones did not play coach's decision. James Jones did not play coach's decision. Derek Williams did not play coach's decision. So he just flat didn't play his bench, other than those 4 guys. And Shumpert only played 3 minutes. So the bench minutes, Jefferson's minutes were up, Corver's minutes were up, and Williams' minutes were about the same. But all those bench minutes were basically going to three guys. Now, in the same token, Kyrie Irving, Kyrie Irving in this game, everybody's like, oh, he's scoring 40 points, so he's doing everything right. No, he was doing a lot of things wrong. He was scoring this much, he was doing everything right. No, he was doing a lot of things wrong. But in this game, Kyrie Irving came to play. He was only 9 of 22 field goals, but I want you to look over here. The free throws. He was 7 for 7 free throws. That tells me he was going to the hoop. Yeah, he was missing shots, but he was doing what he does best. He was going to the hoop. He was drawing fouls. He was getting points the way he knows how to do it best. Yeah, not going back, shooting a lot of shots that probably going to miss and that everybody knows he's probably going to miss. He was getting to the hoop. He was taking it in. He was being aggressive. And Kyrie Irving's an aggressive player. He's not going to sit back and shoot 4 to 5 threes a game and be successful. He's going to be successful driving the lane and making you work on defense, and that's what he did. He only shot 2 3-pointers in the game. He had 3 rebounds. He had 3 rebounds. The rebound numbers here on NBA.com are being a little pissed. Whatever. But he had 4 turnovers. I don't like the turnovers. But he also had 2 steals. So that would offset the turnovers. So I like what he did there. He also had 6 assists, which is good. I mean, he really came in, and Kyrie Irving came to play in what I felt was his overall the best game he's played in the series as an overall player. Do you agree or disagree with that comment?
Yeah, I agree. It's probably one of the best games that he played. But one player that stands out that I like to talk about is J.R. Smith. A lot of people don't look at this number, but I want y'all to pay attention to this number. 9 of 11, 81.8, 7 out of 8, 87.5. If y'all don't know what I just read, that means he went 9 for 11 from field goals, attempts, and makes, and he was 81.8%. So J.R. Smith was hot, and then 7 from 8 for 3, 87.5% from the 3 line. J.R. Smith was hot from scoring, and he definitely showed that he is ready to play in Game 5. Definitely showed with the percentages of numbers and percentages of shots that he was hitting.
Yeah, and I don't think people really realize, TJ. I remember when J.R. Smith came into the league. He didn't come in with fanfare, and I believe he came in with Charlotte. He was nothing more than drive to the basket, dunk the ball, highlight reel stuff. Then he had one good season, and he fled to Cleveland. After a couple seasons, he had a little bit of an attitude. He went somewhere else. Forget where he went. Don't really care. Came back to Cleveland. They wouldn't start him again. He was a bench player. He's a 6-man. Now he's back starting again. And, I mean, the guy has transformed. That number you said, 7 of 8 from threes. When Smith came in, he couldn't make a 3-pointer to save his life. Okay? He was not a good shooter. He was really good at driving to the basket, and he could make some 10-foot jumpers, 5 10-foot jumpers every now and then. But his whole thing was, I'm going to drive to the basket, I'm going to dunk on you, and there's nothing you can do about it. How he has transformed his game, I think, is something that a lot of players wish they could do throughout their careers, because he has just been his transformation with his attitude, with his playing ability, and how much he's evolved as a player is just nothing short of spectacular, and you really got to give your hats off to him as a player for what he's been able to do.
True. And a lot of people don't understand when J.R. Smith was playing with Melo with the Denver Nuggets. Um, like to see his game evolve over time, and you see how his game is being perfected for him. It's just nice to see what a person would do to change his game to become a more a more two-way set player. Like we need people to be like that and have that tradition where basketball is it's soft skill. It's about the I can do this, but yet I can do this also. Like you can be more versatile in your position.
Yeah,
We
the
need
the
skills like that.
one-dimensional players. Yeah, because you're right. There are a lot of one-dimensional players in this day and age. Where back in, say, the '80s and early to mid '90s, or maybe even throughout the entire, I could say probably throughout the entire '90s, one-dimensional players did not survive in the NBA. Even Manute Bol, who was the tallest player and one of the better shot blockers to ever play the game, was he couldn't survive more than like, I think 6 years with with natural size and everything going for him. And we really didn't get a true huge man when it comes to 7'5", 7'6" until Yao Ming came along, and he was extremely versatile. And so I think you're right. Versatility is a big must in this game today. A lot of people don't remember him, but Stephen Curry's father, Del Curry, one of the best shooters in the game throughout the '90s. When he was in his prime, he wasn't just shooting the ball. He was driving the basket, he was making things happen. He was very versatile. Same thing with Glenn Rice. People are like, oh, Glenn Rice was a great 3-point shooter. No, Glenn Rice in his early career was only a pretty decent 3-point shooter. But same thing with Ray Allen. These guys played good defense and they drove to the basket. You know, Allen was always a good shooter. You know, he borderlining on great, but he wasn't a great 3-point shooter until later in his career, when his natural ability started to slow up a little bit because he was. These guys were big at going to the basket, getting to the hole, dunk in your face, you know, get a pretty layup over the fingertips, finger rolls and stuff. They were great at this, and they were extremely multidimensional, and they didn't become one-dimensional until later in their careers. A lot of people remember Allen Houston, uh, Detroit Pistons. He was the same way. So, Richard Jefferson, played in this NBA Finals. My land is like I was surprised that he was still on a roster because I remember when he came in, he was excellent defensively. Just he'd drive to the hole, excellent defensively, had a really nice jump shot. Now he's still good defensively, still got a nice shot, but he's not going to get you 16, 17 points. He's going to be that, and he's not as versatile as he used to be. He's just that strong, solid player. And so versatility, especially in younger years, can that sits and causes longevity because you're not going to get this long run if you don't have the longevity behind it. You're not going to get this long run if you don't have the versatility behind it early. Don't you agree?
I agree. And one thing that Cleveland is missing besides Kevin Love is Amon Shepard. Um, like it's tough because Amon Shepard went to before Amon Shepard actually went to the Cleveland Cavaliers. He was with the New York Knicks, Melo, the same thing. And I think he's the same player as a J.R. Smith, where he's trying to, at first, he's still trying to find his game. Defense was off the charts, though, man. What he was with the Knicks, he played very sound defense, and when you see how it's transpired for Amon Shepard, you wonder where is the game went to for him? Does he still want to play basketball? Like does it actually shows that he doesn't want to play? Like
Yeah, because I didn't even see Shepard on the roster when I was
I
looking
didn't
down
even
through
see Shepard
everything.
in the game, and the
Yeah.
funny thing is, they say he was in the game for like 3 minutes and 45 seconds, but
Whew, boy.
I mean, but he really didn't do nothing but shot the ball once, and that was it. And guess coach pulled him out. But like Amon Shepard and J.R. Smith, they work to like they're scorers. They're it's a reason why they're scorers. This is what LeBron needs. LeBron needs scorers. LeBron needs a second piece, and that's how he's going to get. That's how he's going to win his championships. When you have LeBron averaging, giving you 40, 41, 13, 8, 2 steals, and a block. I mean, J.R. Smith showed up for you, but mine, like you didn't even get a chance to, showcase what you can actually do as far as helping your team out.
Yeah, and I agree. And this is now getting away from Cleveland a little bit because we've covered them the entire show. Let's go over to Golden State. Golden State
Indeed.
has Kevin Durant. I mean, what more can you say about this guy? 14 for 20 shooting, 70%, dominated the game once again, played 40 minutes, 5 for 8 three-pointers, 6 rebounds, 5 assists, 1 steal. I mean, and let's look at it from this perspective. Durant played 40. Stephen Curry played 40. He had 34 points, 50% shooting, 10 of 20. He was only 2 of 9 3. He didn't shoot the ball particularly well. He was 12 of 15 free throw. Awesome number. Where Durant was 6 of 6 free throw. Once again, 6 rebounds, 10 assists. So Curry had a great game, but the guy who really stole the show in a lot of ways, two guys stole the show. One, the old man of the team, guy that was great defender, one time was a great shooter, hasn't really had his best years are behind him. We all knew this, coming in. He's a role player. A lot of times works as a sixth man. Andre Iguodala, guy was absolutely amazing. 20 points, 9 of 14 shooting, 64%, 2 of 7 3. He was never a great three-point shooter anyway, so that doesn't really bother me. Um, offensive rebounds, 1 offensive rebound, 3 defensive rebounds, 4 rebounds overall, 3 assists, only 1 turnover. He had a block, which his age, blocks don't come easy. Yeah, and he really stole the show in a lot of ways because remember, all 5 of his misses from the field were 3-point shots. So that should tell you how good he was playing. And the other one is guys a little bit younger, a little more energetic, bit more of a big mouth, just a little bit. That would be Draymond Green. Green didn't jump out at you with points. Yeah, he had 10 points, 3 of 10 shooting, 2 of 5 from 3, 2 of 4 free throw line. He didn't do great there, but he had 12 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals. His overall numbers were great. His defense was just spectacular. And he played more minutes than anybody else on Washington's roster. or not Washington, gee whiz, Golden State Warriors roster. He played 43 minutes as compared to 40 by Kevin Durant, 34 by Klay Thompson, 40 by Curry, 38 by Iguodala. He really took over the game in the fact he was always out there. He was getting rebounds. He was playing great defense. And the big thing you have to look at the assists. 5 assists. He doesn't he doesn't normally get that many assists, but he made himself into a threat so he could get the assists. So, what do you think about how Draymond Green and Andre Iguodala played here in Game Five? In Game Five.
Well, let's start with Draymond Green. I think Draymond Green played exceptionally well in Game 5. Um, Not the biggest focal point, but didn't have to be. Um, when you look at Draymond Green, you don't really look at Draymond Green as an exceptional scorer like that, but he can score and he can get hot. And when he does get hot, he's very, very hard to stop. However, when it comes to defense, like I said before, Draymond Green is the anchor of that defense, and it helps to have somebody like a Draymond Green who's very versatile on his defensive side, where he can guard anywhere from a 1 to a 5, which is amazing because his height. He's only, I think, 6'7". So it's very amazing to see that that a big stature person like Draymond Green can actually be vocal and move around to where he's guarding just everybody from the 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 to 5.
Yeah, and I
that
think
helps we have it.
yeah, and I think everybody that's ever listened to me on the Draft Utopia podcast on here, they'll say, I have even people who know me, talk to me, knew me growing up, knows I have an extreme fondness for Detroit Pistons, San Antonio Spurs, Chicago Bulls legend Dennis Rodman. A guy who could do whatever he wanted to, but he chose defense. He chose rebounding. And while Green is nowhere near Rodman's level, I think in this day and age, Green may be the closest thing right now that I'm seeing to a Dennis Rodman who can affect a game, not by his scoring, but by his intensity, his rebounding, and his defense. And where Rodman developed to the place where he could do anything on the court. He could score if he wanted to. He could get 20. There are people who said Rodman could score 20, 25 points a game if he wanted to, but he chose not to. He chose to rebound. He focused on other things. And I think Green, who is still extremely young, has the chance to perhaps develop into that type of player. What do you think?
I think Draymond Green can be that player. I think if he put the extra time in, he'll become that player. Can he become over the top and exceed? We won't know if he can over exceed the expectation of becoming, better than a Dennis Rodman. But we do know that with the style that he's playing, it's Dennis Rodman like. Dennis Rodman can score, he can score. Dennis Rodman is a rebound machine, he is a rebound machine. And not to mention that if you look at the numbers, he averaged a double for Game 5, which is not bad for him. He's usually averaging a double in season games, so this is not a bad thing. It's not a bad look for him.
No,
But
absolutely not. I just
side,
hope
that's
he
where
stuck. I just hope he never dresses in drag. I mean that could put the entire thing. Well, okay, that'd just bring him closer to Rodman level. But we go with that. And what do you think about Andre Iguodala? I mean, Iguodala, the old man, came in and he really came through as not only as the leader, but as a player to be reckoned with in this game for Golden State. So, what do you think about Iguodala and how he performed?
this is a game where they needed someone, someone to give them over that hump. And Andre Iguodala is that person. Iguodala used to be a star in Philadelphia, so I'm not too surprised to see it, but I am happy to see that Iggy gives you 20 points for y'all to win. That is a very, very productive night for Iggy in a very, very clutch matchup that we call a Game 5 to win a championship. That's what you want to see when you have your X Factor only giving you 11 and the second person that was arguably the X Factor 2 years ago is giving you 20. That's what Golden State needs. Golden State has a powerhouse team to where they can beat you. If they can beat you inside, they can beat you inside. If they can beat you outside, they can beat you outside. It's really versatile, and you have to guard it.
Yeah, and we all know, I'm going to take this back a little bit because we haven't touched on this yet. Um, Everybody knows that I'm one of those guys, every time I start to get some respect for LeBron James, everybody comes out and starts saying, oh, he's right up there with Jordan, he's right up there with Kobe, he's right up there with Bird. And I just like, you know what? And they show the clips of him saying how he's the best player in the world and, all this, that, and the other. And then right behind him shows clips of Jordan and Bird saying, you know, never once saying it they're the best player in the world, giving props and saying they're playing against the best players in the world and so on and so forth. And I lose respect for James again after that. You know, you look at it, he has he's played in 8 NBA finals. He's lost 5 of them. He's lost some of them with super teams where goes and plays with these other superstars over in Miami. I mean, he's just not a clutch player. He's just not on those guys' level. But that being said, I'm going to look at this game. This game, LeBron James looked like he could potentially be on that level of those legends, and he just played remarkably well. He 41 points, 19 of 30 field goals. He had 13 rebounds, 8 assists, 2 steals. He kept his turnovers down, and his turnovers are usually anywhere from 4 to 10. I mean, he's usually a turnover machine. He kept his turnovers down. He played exceptional defense. He looked like he was 10 years younger. He just played that well. He played all 46 minutes. Well, he played 46 out of the 48 minutes. So LeBron really positioned himself. He may be the best player in the world. He may not. I don't pay attention to the FIFA game. I still say right now Kevin Durant's probably the best player in the world. But, once again, I don't pay attention to the FIFA game. And LeBron James, Kevin Durant will be debated till the end of time as the best player of this generation, outside of Kobe Bryant. And Tim Duncan and Kobe Bryant you could almost consider to be a major part of the last generation because they were huge in the last generation. But I'd say between James Bryant, Kevin Durant, and Kobe Bryant, you're looking at potentially the four biggest stars of this generation, and two out of those four playing in this series, and the other two being retired. So, what do you think about LeBron James? And I know I don't think this hurts his legacy. I still think he's the best player, potentially one of the 3 best players of this generation, 4 best players of this generation if you count Durant. So, what do you think of LeBron James, how he played, not only in this game, but in the entire series?
LeBron James went out swinging, and there's no better feeling where you put everything on the line. You literally put everything on the line for a shot in a moment, and that's what LeBron did. Now, in the Game 5 series, the only thing I can really take from LeBron is the 1 for 4 from free throws. But when we got 41, 13, 8, 2, and 1, I mean, you still putting everything on the line. You're trying to fight against a Golden State team that's powerhouse.
Yeah, and I
Like,
think that James would be closer to these legends if he would show that killer instinct every game like those legends did, rather than every once in a while. And this game, if LeBron James would play like this, not not only the stats, I mean, he doesn't have to get 41 a game every game, but when you look at guys like Jordan, Bird, Magic, you see that killer instinct every game, every time you come out. Isaiah Thomas looked like he wanted to rip someone to shreds every time he stepped on that court. That fire, that intensity, something everybody always has. And LeBron, he he would be so much closer to legends like that, you know, instead of saying, well, he's probably the best player in the world. They would say, this guy is a bona fide legend. There would be no discussion of best player in the world because it would be LeBron. If he had that killer instinct every game, if he had the killer instinct he played with in this game, where he laid it all out, and he would average 29 points a game. I have a feeling he'd average like 29 points a game, probably 14, 15 rebounds a game, a good 7, 8 assists a game, 2 blocks, get at least 2 steals, simply because that killer instinct, that drive that will to win would just overcome opponents on every game, on every play. And there are plays where you just sit there and it's like when he'd be on defense and somebody would go around him and it'd be like, man, if he would have just taken, the initiative to sidestep, or even if he would have tried to block, this guy's 6'1", he could have blocked that easy out of pure athleticism, but he wouldn't do that, and if you look at some of the great stars from yesteryear and the legends, they'd do that every play. They would make sure that point didn't get scored, where LeBron would let it score. Clutch factor, LeBron just doesn't have it. Do you think that if he showed the killer instinct like he did in Game 5, every game for the last 14 years, every time he stepped on that court, out of those 8 NBA finals he played in, how many do you think they'd win if he gave that same effort that he did tonight every game?
if LeBron has a killing instinct like this, ain't no telling what we would see back then to now.
Yeah,
Like, you gotta understand that you have to be like, to have this killing instinct, you have to be driven. And Jordan was driven. Kobe was driven. Some of the greatest players that we know, they were driven. Pippen, driven. Tracy McGrady, great scorer, driven. Um, and LeBron, he's a different breed player. And I'm not saying that he's not driven to win. What I'm saying is that the killer instinct that everybody wants LeBron to have, LeBron's not a me type of player. He's I can get mine, but I'm gonna get the team around. I'm gonna get the ball around this team, and we're gonna beat them team wise because that's how the game is played.
yeah,
So
but I want you to look at it this way. You can be a team player like that and still have the killer instinct and say, I'm going to get mine. I'm going to take over when my team needs me to take over. I'm going to be infectious. Larry Bird was probably one of the greatest team players to ever play. And he always got his team involved. And when, let's put it, Bird at one time fractured his jaw and his orbital bone when he smashed his head against the court diving after a loose ball. He got back up. The Celtics fell apart without him. They were really getting tortured. And then, like an avenging angel out of the depth, that just comes up, fist clench out of the locker room, comes Larry Bird down there, gets over, walks past the bench. A lot of players will come out of the locker room and sit on the bench. Bird walks past the bench, sits down just kneels down, doesn't even sit, kneels down right in front of the coach, looks out at the court. He makes sure, he doesn't just sit there, he makes sure everybody in that arena knows he's there. He makes sure the opponents knows he's there. He makes sure his teammates know he's there. He makes sure the coach knows he's there. He doesn't wait for the trainer to go up to him. He doesn't even sit beside the coach. He kneels right in front of the coach. Coach puts him in. Celtics win the game. I have never once seen LeBron. I've seen him go out for a cramp, but I've never once seen LeBron put himself in a position to where he would smash his head against the court, diving after a ball in such a reckless fashion, get up, have serious facial injuries, get up, walk to the, not sit on the bench, not sit down, not look on intently, but walk up, kneel down in front of the coach, look out on the court, and let it be known, I'm back, I'm coming in, you're screwed. Boom. Psychological effects. Bird on that one play, lifted his team without even stepping on the court. Lifted his team, lifted the bench, lifted the crowd, demoralized the opponents. Just sit there. He didn't have to say a word. Didn't have to do anything. Just walked up, knelt down by the scorer's table in front of the coach. All it took. That killer instinct, that mental edge to say, I'm back. What are you going to do about it? And put it out there. That's what I always wanted to see from LeBron. LeBron, yes, he has deficiencies with his game when it comes to shooting. He's not as mobile on defense as we would like. But if he had that killer instinct, if he had that psychological effect, not only on other teams, but on his own team, on the arena, on the people in the stands, where they would just shoot up, just with his very presence. Things like that Jordan would do, things like that Bird would do, things like that Magic would do. If LeBron had that effect, that's what the greats did. If LeBron did that, if he could do stuff like that and just be so infectious as to have that instinct, to have that mental edge, and impose his will. Not just driving the hoop and saying, I'm the best, most physical person in the game, but to, just with his very presence, demoralize or bring up an entire city. And anybody in there is considered invaders. And they're going to be demoralized from just his very presence. If LeBron could do that, how many championships in the last 14 years do you think he would have won?
That LeBron, with the killing instinct line, would have at least 5. Somewhere between 5 and maybe 6, but at least somewhere between 5. Because you can't, with a killing instinct mind like that has an overall effect to where LeBron's able to be capable of being a scorer. Like, if LeBron had that, something that NBA never seen before.
Yeah, and I have to agree with that. I cannot disagree. The biggest thing, every player has his deficiencies, you know, but to have that type of killer instinct, be an example, because I know a lot of people like to compare James to Bird, Magic, and all, and so I'll just keep this going. A couple years ago, Bird, like 55 years old at the time, where he was still president of the Pacers. Uh, there was one of his players, I forget who, was down there, acting all cocky and arrogant and everything, shooting the ball. He'd shoot, a couple shots. He'd make a couple. He'd like, oh, look at that, look how awesome. He'd miss one. Gotta get a rebound, throw it back to him. Bird was walking down there. He had his dress shoes on, dress pants on, dress coat. Takes off his coat. He's got his, tie on, his white, shirt on. He goes over there. Yeah, he's got penny loafers on. Fucking penny loafers. Walks over to the corner, is like, give me the ball. Ball boy passing the ball. Straight from the corner. Makes 10 threes in a row. Passes the ball over to his player, is like, keep working hard, kid. Grabs his coat, walks off to his office. 55, 56 years old. That killer instinct's still there. Michael Jordan, he walks on. I don't like Jordan. Never liked Jordan. Don't like his attitude. Can never deny his talent. Still walks onto a golf course. It's like he has that same killer instinct as he always did. Might not be as good, but he's got that killer instinct to go with it. Walks onto a basketball, plays a pickup game. Killer instinct still there. Talks to some people in a school. Somebody asks him about LeBron. Laughs about it. I'd beat LeBron in my prime. Put two of them in their prime. Jordan's like, oh, of course I'd win. It's like, whatever. It's like, doesn't even take it seriously. And I think a lot of it's because there isn't that killer instinct when it comes to LeBron James that you want to see every game. Game 5 showed that LeBron is completely capable of having the same instinct as those legends, and by doing that, he could have transformed the NBA, just like people thought he would do when he came in. Yes, he's one of the best players of this generation, arguably the best. At one time, he may have been considered the best player in the world. But did he transform the game the way that those legends did? Did he transform the game the way everybody thought he would? And to be honest, you have to say, if you're completely honest with yourself, you have to say no. And I think the reason is, and the reason you cannot put him with those legends, is, as we've been talking about, he did not show that killer instinct every game, every play, every time he walked on the court. He did not show that. He put on a spectacle. He was probably, for his size, for his weight, for his athletic ability, probably the most physically imposing player in the last 30 years. He would just impose his will physically on people. But I didn't see anything else that would make me say he is the greatest. And if he had that killer instinct when he would go to practice, if he'd have that killer instinct in practice, killer instinct during the games, whenever he would walk on the court, I think that would have put him in there, and he would still be dominating. You wouldn't get this 3 wins and 5 losses in the finals. You wouldn't have this Golden State wins 4-1. You wouldn't have all these game 7s because James would have imposed his will and fire and instinct. Remember, in the Bulls' first 3 championship wins, there was a young Scottie Pippen. The next best player was a young Horace Grant and Bill Cartwright. Jordan, his first 3 championships, didn't exactly have the world-beating supporting cast that everybody's saying, oh, LeBron doesn't have a supporting cast. If you look at it, LeBron probably has a better supporting cast right now than Jordan did in his first 3 championship wins. And Jordan, I would have to say, was in a better position. So now we got Chris Ransom. Yeah, well, that's nice. We've got Chris Ransom that just called in. He is on the line. Chris Ransom of Draft Utopia. And Chris, we're talking right now, mainly me ranting and TJ filling in, about LeBron James and the reason he hasn't won, and the reason that there is such debate on his legacy. The reason there is such a debate, and TJ and myself have come to the same conclusion that that LeBron James, the reason he hasn't won more, the reason he's not up there with legends like Jordan, Bird, Kobe, Isaiah Thomas, is his killer instinct. He just doesn't have that killer instinct. So, I'd love to hear your opinion on it, and tell me, LeBron lacks killer instinct is why he didn't transform the game the way everybody expected him to when he came in. Do you agree that that's probably what sets him apart from being a legend to being a great player like he is?
Well, Kevin Durant
You're breaking up, Chris.
Harrison Barnes is. And Harrison Barnes is on the Mavericks now, but he was on the Warriors when LeBron faced them in 2015 and 2016. This year they get Kevin Durant. That ends up being the difference. And LeBron basically has Kyrie Irving, Kevin Love, and Tristan Thompson when he's on his team as his supporting cast. I feel like they need one more player, and if Blake Griffin opts out of this deal with the Clippers, your Cleveland strongly have to consider the idea of cutting Kevin Love and making a place for Griffin, because Griffin hasn't won a championship yet. I feel like he's hungrier. He would bring more to this team than Kevin Love would. But maybe I'm wrong about that, Joey and TJ. I don't know what LeBron can do to win a championship, because he just doesn't have the supporting cast right now. Championship. They're losing a lot of depth, a lot of backup role players, and a lot of the guys that are rumored to be going to Cleveland with free agency, they would be playing positions that Cleveland already has starters at. They would basically be depth players, which is what Cleveland's losing a lot of due to age and stuff. So I'm not sure if all-star players would be willing to take that kind of pay cut to help LeBron win another championship. So I'm not sure what they can do, but I feel like somebody like Blake Griffin would be in the fray over Kevin Love. Maybe I'm wrong from Joey and TJ, but feel free to elaborate on that.
TJ, weren't we just talking about this before, about his supporting cast, and I had literally just mentioned not a minute before Chris came in about how if you look back at the rosters and if you compare the rosters, LeBron James has a better supporting cast than Jordan did when Jordan won those first 3 championships, and Jordan was against stiffer competition. Yeah, so I'm looking at this, and I'm like, and once again, Chris, just to my point of people saying he doesn't have a supporting cast, I'm looking at it, it's like, if you really look at things from a wide point, TJ, I mean, and he didn't even mention J.R. Smith, and so what do you think about that with, I know you haven't had a chance to chime in, what do you think about it with LeBron's supporting cast?
If we go year by year, LeBron James supporting cast, and we try to compare it to Jordan, LeBron's supporting cast, when he was first with Cleveland, he didn't have a supporting cast. It was just LeBron LeBron James a frame, if you want to put it in that perspective. I mean, the only good player he had was, Bowie Gibson, Shaquille O'Neal, but was not playing the same way because of age. He gets to Miami, has a little better supporting cast. You got the Dwayne Wade
And Chris Bosh. I wouldn't say that would be a little bit better of a cast. I mean, Wade, by himself was, that is an amazing supporting cast in a historical sense because they had a good 5-6 players on that team. All could have been stars and who were stars. I mean, Dwayne Wade was arguably the best player in the Eastern Conference. So, but yeah, continue with that.
Then he has Kevin Love, Kyrie Irving, J.R. Smith, and Tristan Thompson. Like, I think he has good cast members that helps him out. I don't think he has a better one than Jordan. And the reason why I say that is because it's in the game style. We know J.R. Smith can be a streaky shooter, so we don't know what we can get. Kyrie's going to give you at least 20 a game. Kevin Love hasn't been Kevin Love since the Timberwolves. Let's point that out in perspective. Tristan Thompson is the same player he was when he was drafted. So, with all that being said, I think he has good pieces. I don't think he has the best cast members, if you look, or if you think he has a better cast than Jordan. I don't think he has that. I do think that he has good pieces to where he can move around and play with and help them lead to a championship. But as far as having one better than Jordan, I don't think he has one better than Jordan.
Well, I think you also have to look at it. I know a lot of people look at Jordan's supporting cast in those 6 championships as extremely similar through all 6 or exactly the same, which is not even close to being the case. The thing was back in, if you would compare LeBron's team right now with that Jordan roster in the last 3 championships, I'd say, hell yeah, Jordan had a much better team, a much deeper team than LeBron does, and it's not even close. But if you look at those first 3 championships, we're talking 1990 to 1993. You look at that as like Sean Livingston. Who's Sean Livingston? Why do we care about Sean Livingston? You look at it's like Bill Cartwright, what the 34-year-old guy. He was close to the end of his career by then. Yeah, Horace Grant. It's like, who's Horace Grant? He's been in the league a year. It's like, what's he ever done? And that's what you have to look at. Scottie Pippen, the guy that was getting knocked on his ass by Isaiah Thomas. He couldn't even get to the hole. But they became, by the second championship, they became a much better team. But that first championship, they barely beat the Cavs. Yeah, you have to remember that they barely beat the Cavs on a Jordan last second shot. And that gave them confidence. But they were not world beaters at that point in time. They were, I think, the 3rd or 4th seed in the playoffs. If you remember the game, this was the final game in that series, and they were in Cleveland. That would have said the Bulls were like the 5th seed or something like that. That is a absolutely remarkable thing. So you have to look, if you look at the rosters from the first 3 years, yes, in the first 3 years, this team right now, Cleveland, had a better roster. In the last 3 years, absolutely not. The Bulls roster, that absolutely amazing. So, in the last 3 years, I would agree Jordan had a much better roster. First 3 years, not so much. Um, Add that to Jordan's killer instinct, which I think was what drove those first three championships more than the talent on their roster. And you can, what do you think about that, Chris? Do you think if LeBron had the killer instinct, it wouldn't have mattered what who was on his roster? Because if he had a killer instinct like Jordan did, do you think the way Jordan powered his team to championships, LeBron could have done the same thing without the talent around him?
Possibly. And as for Jordan, they barely got by. It was, I think it was either Detroit or one of the other teams, but they beat somebody in 7 games in 1991 when the Bulls won their first championship. They swept Detroit when the Bulls won their first championship over the Lakers in 91. In 92, they beat the Cavs in 6 games, and they played the Phoenix Suns, I believe, that year. They played Portland and beat Portland in 6 games. But I think you were pointing out how Chicago, under Jordan, they didn't deserve to win in 92 when they faced the Cavs, and they played sloppy at times. Was that what you were saying?
Yeah, they did not deserve to win against the Cavs. They did not deserve to win that championship. That was Jordan. That was Jordan saying, "We will not lose. I will not allow it." And I think the whole discussion that we're having right now is, I think everything else is moot. But TJ, wouldn't you agree the entire discussion up to about LeBron James at this point and his teams, his rosters, everything else, you could throw all the cover out the window. This is about LeBron's killer instinct and his ability to put his team on his shoulders and carry them to a championship. Would you agree with that?
Yes, I agree with that. I agree that LeBron needs a killer instinct. He needs some type of killer instinct. It doesn't matter
Chris, you broke up. Chris, are you there? Okay, we can no longer hear Chris Ransom. Chris is off the call. He's calling back in. Let's see what happens here. Chris, are you with us?
had a plan in place to do Walker, and they gave Walker a 4-year extension. So I don't believe Curry goes there.
And with those thoughts, we're going to wrap it up for the season finale of the Hardwood. Thank you for everybody who joined in. Thank you for everybody who stuck with us through this extra long broadcast. And if you like this video, feel free to like and share. For TJ and Chris and everybody at the Evolution Network, everybody at Draft Utopia, I'm Joseph Potter. Have fun and take care.